Shalom, everyone. Welcome back. Good Erev Shabbos, everyone. This Shabbos is the second of the four special Shabbosim before Pesach. The first being Shkolim, and this coming Shabbos is Parshat Zachor, the Shabbos of remembering. And what do we remember? We remember the war with Amalek. The Jewish people just came out of Egypt, and they just crossed the sea, and one of the greatest miracles that ever happened to humanity. And as soon as they crossed the sea and sang the famous song, the Az Yashir, immediately out of nowhere came Amalek and put the damper on the whole thing. Or, as the Torah says, Asher Karcha B'derech, that they made their way cold. How did they make their way cold? The Jewish people were all hot and heavy and passionate and excited of all the wondrous miracles that took place. And it seemed that life was only going straight up for the Jewish people, and that all of a sudden, out of nowhere, came their arch enemy, Amalek, the grandson of Esav, Yaakov's brother, and their people. And Amalek attacked. And it put a complete damper on the whole thing. Luckily, the Jewish people beat them. But ever since then, Amalek has been the nemesis of the Jewish people. And in fact, they're called Rashis Goyim Amalek. They are the beginning of all the anti-Semitic nations. This is Amalek. Whenever anything terrible happens to the Jews, we say it was Amalek. We say Hitler probably descended from Amalek. Whenever real Jew hatred comes along, its source spiritually is Amalek and possibly physically as well. Amalek is the source of all anti-Semitism in the world. And therefore we read the Parsha of Amalek before Purim every year, because the enemy of the arch villain of the story of Purim is Haman, who descended from Agag, who was from Amalek. He was a Amalekite, as the Megillah itself says. So we talk about Amalek, we think about Amalek during this time. But spiritually, Amalek is more than just a nation that came to attack us or that hates us. The word Amalek actually has the same numerical value as Hasafek, doubt, the doubt. What does Amalek do? Amalek puts doubt into the hearts of Jewish people. We are all excited about Judaism. We all want to do more. We all want to learn more Torah. We want to be more observant. And then Amalek comes and dampens it. Amalek, Asher Karcha B'derech, makes the way cold for us. The opposite of cold is heat, passion, excitement. Amalek is the opposite of that. Amalek makes our Judaism cold and impersonal. And when that happens, when doubt comes up, that is the beginning of the end. And that is something that we should all remember, and something that should keep us going as well. That the idea of Judaism is that it should be passionate, it should be exciting, it should be wonderful for all of us. And that's why Hasidim study Hasidic philosophy, because Hasidic philosophy does that to us. Hasidic philosophy puts warmth into our hearts and spirituality into our hearts. And it really makes us to feel that we want to do another mitzvah. We are excited to do another mitzvah. The best time to study Hasidus is in the morning before davening and at night before we go to sleep. Because in the morning before we pray, we should not just jump out of bed and put on our tefillin and pray, but we should think about God. We should think about more holy things and then pray. Prepare ourselves a little bit. What we call in Hebrew hachana, make hachana is making our proper preparations. And to study Hasidus at night, just before we go to sleep at night towards the end of the day, gives us a proper perspective about the rest of the day. Many years ago, when I ran a Shabbaton in Hamilton, Ontario, years ago when I was a yeshiva student, a young girl, maybe 11-year-old girl, came up to me at the Shabbaton. And she said to me, I wasn't a rabbi yet, she said to me, can you help me with something? I go to the local Beis Yaakov, and it's a very religious school. And every morning we have to daven, but I don't get anything out of it. I say the words and I go back and forth and I do what I'm supposed to do, but I really don't enjoy davening. I just don't care for it. This is why many people don't like to come to shul because it's boring, it's lifeless, it's cold, it has no meaning for them. So what can I do? Is there anything I can do about it? So I suggested to her that what she should do is every morning ask her teacher if she could spend the first 5 minutes of davening, not davening, instead study a little bit of Hasidic philosophy or Musar or Jewish ethics or Pirkei Avos, ethics of the fathers, something to get her into the mood to pray, and then pray. And ask your teacher if it's okay to do that, and then do that. Well, that was after the high holidays. I came back again um, around February, March, April, and I met her. I forget where I bumped into her. And she said to me, I remember you talked to me about that. I said, yeah, I remember it very well. She said, well, I took your advice and it completely changed my davening. It completely made it into an entire new thing. And I want to thank you for it. And indeed, that's the case. We can't let Amalek come into our lives, into our hearts. We need to open our hearts to God, open our hearts to love, and to Avos Yisrael, to love of our fellow Jew, and to all of those things that are so important to us in life. And when we do that, then we will rid Amalek from our lives completely, and then we will be able to truly celebrate Purim in a way of Ad lo Yada, in a way that we don't know the difference between Haman and Mordechai and good and bad, and everything will be holy and pure and beautiful. So I want to wish you all a very happy Purim coming up next week, which will be this coming next Thursday night and Friday. And I'll have something more to say about that on Tuesday, on my video on Tuesday. Candle lighting in San Diego tomorrow night, or tonight if you're hearing it on Friday, is at 5:20. I want to wish you all a good Shabbos and a good week. Shalom.